Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. So this is a bit of a story time video, I think. I do have a couple of stories to tell involving this reading, which is very unusual and feels weirdly specific to me. It is intended as a collective reading. There's definitely other people, like you can see here on this Buddhist Prepares and the Three of Cups, which is like community. So it does feel like it's a community thing, like it's affecting lots of people at once, but I feel like I'm one of the people. I feel like this reading is for me. It feels very personal, and I'll kind of explain why in a moment. I just want to say shout out to Awakening to Spirit Tarot, because Cindy from Awakening to Spirit, she is kind of part of this reading. Her Libra reading yesterday is absolutely like 100% freakishly a companion to this reading, so I will link her reading at the end of the video, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So story time then. Story time. I was kind of doing a lot of housework, and funnily enough, the first video that I ever watched from Awakening to Spirit was the Mary Kondo Libra reading, and I hate it when my guides tell me to clean and tidy because I don't like cleaning and tidying, so this makes me grumpy. But Cindy, like, she's such an engaging reader and I love her channel, so if she does ever happen to watch this, hi, love you, love your work. But yeah, so I was kind of tidying around the house, and I was like, I'm going to tidy, I'm going to hoover, I'm going to do yoga. And I had all these, I was doing laundry at the time, but I kept on feeling like I was being called to pull cards. It was like the energy was pulling me over here. It's like there's a message that wants to come through. And so I kind of like checked in with my guides. I was like, do you want me to stop and do a reading? And in my mind's eye, I saw me hoovering the floor and doing yoga. So it was like, no, hoover the floor and do yoga first. So I was like, right, okay. And I went and did I kind of carried on with my laundry and put the laundry in the dryer, and I had some stuff to kind of hang up around the bedroom to dry. And while I was in the kitchen, I made myself a cup of coffee, and I was like, well, I've got to sit down to drink the coffee. So me trying to avoid doing housework, I've got to drink the coffee. So I'll just sit here and pull a few cards. And so I started to pull the cards, and the first card that came out was wait. It was like, it's not time yet. It's not time yet, right? Don't do the reading yet. There's something else that needs to come through first. And then the underlying was the Golden Children card. So, remember this one, guys. It's freaky. So the Golden Children. So I'm just trying to pick this card up again. Inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts, right? And the way I placed these two cards, because this was kind of like the underlying, it was like the golden children, so our higher selves, like how's this coming through? It's like, it could be like the children that are waiting to be born, right? So I'm really getting called to kind of like have the card like this as well. It's like the golden children are waiting, right? The golden children are kind of above, like in heaven, almost like waiting to be born, waiting to be rebirthed, or waiting to drop a message down to us. It's almost like it is like our inner child, but like our ascended inner child, right? Because we've aged up, we've left that childhood version of ourselves behind. That childhood us is in a different time and space, but it's like almost like this, you know, like the gods looking in the water and like sending messages down. If you think about like the Iliad, for example, it's almost like this higher self who is our ascended inner child of the past is also kind of sending us messages or waiting to be. It's like one of the golden children that's waiting to be birthed. Does that make any sense whatsoever? That's kind of what I was getting from the card with the imagery. It's like our higher selves, this ancestral being has a message. They are going to send something kind of like through the ethers to us, or they are going to kind of like descend down into our environment, but wait, right? It's not the right time. They are waiting. They have a message, they have a purpose, but they're waiting. So I did pull the rest of the cards because it was like, even though it was like, wait, stop trying to do the reading, I was like, no, I'm drinking coffee, I want to get this message, kind of thing. And so I'll kind of get into it more in a second, but you can see here like this guy meditating here, and this card here with I'll bring them closer actually. So really interestingly enough, he's got this kind of like golden heart center, and he's got this whole community around him, and some of them are children, right? He's like a leader to the children, right? It's like something to do with because it's not the golden child, it's the golden children, right? So it's this connectivity, but it also goes across different ages here, like the elders over here, the children here. So it's like we are, with the Three of Cups as well, it's like we are part of a network. We are part of perhaps a community of people who meditate. If you do yoga with Adrienne, you know, at the end she says namaste, you know, and it's like this moment of connection where everybody who's meditating, everybody who's doing yoga, everybody who's you know, part of this kind of network of honoring the self and honoring the collective, is we are part of this together, is the message. We are a light for others to follow, and they are lights for us to follow. So there's this real like collective network energy to this. And again, it's like meditate. It's like wait, meditate, like do the yoga, right? The message will come to you. The message is waiting, right, for you to do yoga or to do meditation, or for you to be quiet and still so that this message can be received, right? You need to be still to open the portal so that the message can come in, was kind of the thing. So it's like, do the yoga, Cinderella, do the yoga. And even here, like this card talks to me about like she's in contemplation, right? So this is like when you sit there and your mind wanders, like your mind goes off on a little like adventure, you know. It starts off going, oh, I need to wash the pots and I need to do the laundry, and then, oh, I remember when I was a child and that thing happened to me, and then, you know, like your mind goes off on like a little adventure. But it's like in that moment of receptivity and openness, this is when the wisdom comes in. It's like coming in from behind you or coming in from the above. I keep hearing, and I've heard it a few times now, the dove from above. So if you it's from a British TV show, a really silly British TV show with Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer, and I didn't particularly like it, so sorry if anyone was ever involved in that. But they go, the dove from above, coo coo, right? It's like trying to draw down the dove from above, which, I'm sorry, it's coming thick and fast, so I'm talking quite quickly and kind of like tripping over my own words. But it's like, if you look at the reading yesterday, the one with the dandelion clock on the thumbnail image, they had this thing about like trying to get something like coo coo, you know, like trying to lure something in. And it's almost like trying to lure in this knowledge or wisdom or this message, like trying to get the spirits to, especially if it's like, again, going back to that reading yesterday, it was like, you know, a spirit child, you know, like a as though there was like a ghost child and you were trying to let it know that it was safe to come forward, was the kind of message in that reading. So it's like a similar energy. It's like it's telling me as well about, I mean, a tiger is a very different energy from a child, but they're giving me the kind of the story of, I believe in India, or in that kind of general area, the people working in the fields would often wear masks on the back of the head because the tigers like to creep up on people. And it's like, if they had a mask on the back, the tigers won't creep up when the person's looking. The person has to look away, which is making me think, again, taking it back to children. It's making me think of that game, Mr. Wolf, right? The wolf. Okay, now it's making more sense. Sorry, I didn't get this yesterday. This is coming through now. So what time is it, Mr. Wolf? Did you ever play that game in like nursery where it's like somebody goes and stands against the wall, like with the back turned to everybody, and everybody has to kind of creep up on the person. And they say, what time is it, Mr. Wolf? And Mr. Wolf turns around and says the time. Something like that. I can't remember it properly because I haven't played it since like primary school. But what time is it, Mr. Wolf? And it's like the person who can creep up and touch Mr. Wolf is the winner, kind of thing. So it's this thing about when you're not looking. When you're not looking, these like childlike messengers can come in, but if you're looking at them, it's like it scares them or it freezes them a bit. Like now they're showing me like weeping angels from Doctor Who, so it sounds creepy, but I want to say it's not creepy, it's more like a game is the way it's coming through. So that all just came through in a big barrage then. It wasn't what I was intending on talking about, so let's go back to the original story. So I pulled all the cards and I was like, right, okay, like when I do yoga, when I do my meditation, this is when the message is going to come in. So I did my hoovering and I got my yoga mat out and I sat down and I kind of listened to a little bit of music, actually Madonna Ray of Light, which is a brilliant kind of album to kind of move to as you're kind of stretching and preparing to do yoga, if anyone wants that tip. then I sat down and I started to scroll through YouTube to try and find a yoga with Adriene video, which is what I do when I'm doing yoga usually. And right at the top of my feed was a video I've been waiting for, and it was Awakening to Spirit's Libra reading, because I'm a Libra, right? And yeah, it was like right there at the top of the feed. It was like, hey, now is the time for you to watch this video. You've been waiting for this. It's here. Watch it now. So I thought, right, okay, I'll do my own yoga. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know the moves. And I'll listen to Cindy. And almost immediately, like 3 minutes in, one of the first cards she pulled, and I believe it was from the same deck, was the Golden Children. And it was like this moment of, oh my goodness, this is what I've been waiting for. Cindy from Awakening to Spirit is my oracle today. She has the wisdom, she has the knowledge, she has the message that needed to come through, right? So it was so bizarre. And even her entire reading, so as I say, I had pulled these cards, right? I had already received the message, or at least a partial message, and she had almost a parallel, it's not exactly the same, but it's so parallel to my message. And it was, the timing of it for me was, it had a huge impact, because it was like, because I've been told, wait, you know, you will receive a message when you're doing your meditation and yoga practice. And then even if you go and look at Cindy's reading, it's bizarre, but it's not bizarre, because like this should make sense to me by now. Like, I should accept that we have parallel messages. You know, we all, the collective, get parallel messages. It's like, I cannot have any more confirmation of this, and yet it still shocks me. So go and look at the title of her Libra reading, which I will link to at the end of the description, at the end of the video. And it's like the oracle, like the oracle has a message for you or something like this. And I'm like, Cindy, you are my oracle. Like, it's like we have the same name and everything. It's bizarre. Like, I don't think she's me. I don't think I'm her. Like, very different people. She's Aries, I'm Libra, opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So, but it's just this strange parallel, right? So, so her reading, and I do encourage you to go and watch it, because she's a much more experienced reader than me. And it's absolutely, like, it feels to me, at least, like she's probably like whatever woman, but to me it's like her reading is a companion. It is complementary to my reading, excuse me, and vice versa. It's like it's the same message. So briefly, her reading has this element of children and an unexpected message and the inner child, right? And then it kind of ends with, in her reading, it's from the Energy Oracle deck, I think, opening the door to romance. And in my reading, we end with the King and Queen of Fire, which is a very hot, fiery, romantic, passionate connection, whether it's lovers or just a creative, dynamic partnership. Like, it is that kind of like the same energy. So mind blown, had a wobble. And even in Cindy's reading, she's like, there's going to be a child that interrupts you and they have a message for you. And even this came out to play, because I continued meditating. I kind of sat on my bed and listened to music, and my daughter came barging in and she said, I'm sorry, were you meditating? And I said, yes, I was. And she said, I just want to sing this song to you. I was like, Cindy said I have to listen to you, so go on. And she said it's from the film Annie. She's been watching like the remake with Michelle Pfeiffer, and it's the song Little Girls, Little Girls, Little Girls, you know, and she's like this, she's like a foster carer or something, isn't she? She runs the orphanage, and she's so sick of doing that. And there's a message in that, because she is the bad guy, right? She is the evil woman in it, but there's still, with Michelle Pfeiffer playing her, there is a message of like female roles, right? The role of the mother, and you know, I think a lot of women, I've definitely felt this. I love my children, right? I love my children so much. I love children. I was going to train as a teacher. I'm an experienced teaching assistant. I'm a trained teaching assistant. So again, weird parallel with Cindy, because I know she works at a school as well. It's like so weird. But I love children. I think children are just the best, right? Like how honest and blunt and funny and weird they can be. I'm like, yeah, children are just the greatest. But I've definitely felt as a mother like this frustration, because being a mother can you know, your children are like an anchor sometimes, and you know, you're not free, right? You always have to put your children first. You always have to accommodate for them. So if you want to do something, it's like, well, who's going to look after the children? Do I take the children with me? There's all these like logistics that come with that. And it can feel, especially like, you know, having to do the laundry, and I hate tidying, right? I am not a queen of pentacles. I just, it's not in my nature like to be like happy house and home. I'm like happy house but messy home. So like it's I think there's something about routine and having to do the same thing every day, having to fight the same battles, whether it's like getting your kid up for school, or you know, getting them to brush their teeth, or you know, just the ins and outs, like the day to day, and how that can feel suffocating and stagnating sometimes. No matter how much you love to be a mum, right, or you love to be a parent, it can sometimes feel very stifling. And I think like I think it's okay to recognize that as, you know, two sides of the same coin. You know, everything's light and dark. There's good things and bad things to any situation. And I wouldn't, you know, give up my children for the world. They mean everything to me. They're the best thing in my life, you know? So, you know, but she is stifled in that song. And I think it's interesting to look at it from that perspective as a woman who perhaps through circumstances was trapped in a certain role and had more that she felt like she could give to the world. So I think there's an element of that as well. Again, especially with the Queen of Fire showing, it's like I've got more to give. I've got passion, I've got creativity, I've got drive, and yeah, did I say ambition? It's like I've got things to do. So there's a message of that in there too. But she came bursting in with this, and I wasn't familiar with the newer movie, so I googled it. And again, this was like another weird epiphany for me. I'm sorry, this is a very personal story, but again, it came through like such a personal reading. But it's like share it with the community, share this knowledge, this epiphany, share it with people, because there's a connection there, you know, like how Cindy sharing her experiences, like there's a connection there with me. I can have sympathy for that, or I can understand that, or I can think, yes, I'm also experiencing that. So like she was my oracle. She was the kid at the bus stop, you know, bursting in and kind of being a little bit like wrong time kind of thing. But I listened to her. She told me about this thing, little girls, which again ties into this reading. And the channel that I kind of brought up was by an account called Jemima. And it was like one of these strange parallels, because this week this sounds bizarre, but I had an experience with another little boy who is a little bit older than me, who definitely, looking back on it as somebody who's trained in like safeguarding and things like that now, I can definitely see that he had issues that he was dealing with, and he was a little boy, right? And as a little boy, he has no, I've completely forgiven him for the various circumstances that I found myself in with him. He was a little boy, and he was a little boy who was definitely in situations that he shouldn't have been in, because the things that he would act out with me were learned behaviors that he was emulating, right? And where had he got that from? So he was also a victim in this dynamic, and I don't want to go into it too much, right? And just, yeah, I'm going to just limit how much I say about this, but my grandma's cat, and I would stay at my grandma's house quite a lot. It was when my parents were divorcing, so yeah, I found myself at my granny and granddad's quite a lot. And the cat Jemima, she was like a tortoiseshell cat, very, very affectionate. You know, she would come and like sleep on my face in the middle of the night, you know, that kind of cat. it's like go away, I'm trying to sleep, and she's like purring and climbing around my head on the pillow. But she was like very much like this protector energy, this friend and protector. And when I was vulnerable, right, and there was a day when he was very cruel to her, and again he was acting out something that he'd clearly seen one of the grown-ups around him doing. And I think it took me a while, because I was a very, very passive child, and again, this is what I had been taught, especially from my grandma. I was taught little girls should be seen and not heard, you know, eat your crust to make your hair curl. If you look in the mirror too much, you'll get horns. All this kind of bullshit. Smile sweetly at the shopkeeper and he'll give you extra sweets. Like, it's basically teaching me to shut up and open my legs. People give you stuff if you're pretty. It was really damaging, right? But it was very much what was done at that time. And I was a very, very passive child. Again, going through something where my parents were divorcing, and I was very young and very vulnerable and very insecure and very unsure of myself. My world was in chaos. So I've been talking to my own inner child, my own childhood version of myself, and seeing myself as very, very innocent at that time, and very nurturing my own inner child is something that I have been doing this past couple of weeks. But also, I was talking to my grandma's cat and saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I let him do those things to you. I'm so sorry that I didn't stop him. I'm so sorry that I didn't speak to my grandma, and tell her the things that he was doing. And my granny was the sort of person, she was very virtuous, very religious, and she thought she was saving the world. But in doing so, she actually inadvertently opened a door that allowed me to be put in a very vulnerable position, unbeknownst to her. Jemima, my grandma's cat, I had a conversation where I was like, I'm sorry, and I was releasing a lot of guilt around that event. And so the fact that this message are coming through my cards and through Cindy of listen to the child, right? And the child gave me this song that led me to the name Jemima, which is a very unusual name. It really felt like, Jemima sees you, Jemima forgives you, Jemima knows. I had a bit of a wobble actually about this whole reading. So that is a very, very personal message that came through with this reading. And I'm kind of just going to go into it now and explain the reading itself. It's really interesting that healing is here as well, though. Now, it's like this collective energy. It's not just one person. There's other people involved. We are a network with people. Now is the time for you to give or receive healing. Everyone has a natural ability to heal others, and yes, even you. So it's very, I think when you understand a situation fully and forgive yourself and others involved, and you understand the complexities of a situation, it is healing. And perhaps there is something in this where sharing my experiences can heal other people and their own inner child, right? We are all golden children, I think, is the message of this reading. So golden children. And there's this interesting Russian doll element to this reading, because it's the golden children, inner child, tenderness, innocence, and rare gifts. And then at the end of the reading over here, I have the inner mother, innocence, gentleness, tenderness. I think there is a real benefit, I think, to speaking to our own inner child. So if you want to sit there in the dark and think about, something that happened when you were a child, and perhaps it was a moment that you have a lot of guilt over, or a moment that you have a lot of shame, or, you look back on it and think, I wish I'd acted differently, or I did the wrong thing there, I think there is a lot of healing opportunity in sitting there and almost either through visualization, either injecting yourself as an adult in that moment, going to yourself as a child and saying, you're okay, you're going to be okay, you are safe, I am here, I am protecting you, I am the future version of you, and I can tell you that we are strong, we do make it, it's not always going to be this way. Or whether you bring your inner child to yourself, to your own situation, and you do the same thing. This is your future. You will be in a position where you can have control over your situation. You will be in a position of comfort and safety, even though perhaps you're scared in this moment, or whatever the case may be, whatever you need to tell that inner child, right? Whether you go to that situation visually or they come to you, right, through meditation. There's something to that. And yeah, it really is. It's like summon them. It's like they're waiting. Your inner child is waiting. You know, they're there, right? They're there above. They are there in the ethers, you know, as an energy. Whether, you know, if you want to talk about like concertinas of the past, you know, it's like they are in the liminal. They are in, whether it's your subconscious, right, or your dream space. It's like they are there. They're always there. Your inner child is always with you, and you are always with them. So go back to those moments and tell them that they're going to be okay. Go back to those moments. And if if your parents weren't around in that moment, or if you didn't have anyone that you could talk to in that moment, if you felt very alone, as an adult, go back to yourself through visualization and meditation and go and tell yourself that you're going to be okay. You know, you are there with them. You are your greatest strength. And there's this messenger as well here. Look, messenger, Sirius energy, bringing harmony and balance. It's like go, like you are being called to do this, right? You are being called to do this. There's a beep beep truck. It's Thursday, so I get the Capricorn beep beep truck. It's tradition. If you're wondering where the star sign readings are, I've been guided to not do the star sign readings because I think people pin too much importance to their sun sign, and a collective reading from one sun sign is not going to have the same. It's like you're not using your intuition. If you're just clicking on it because it says Aries, Taurus, Virgo, whatever, it's like you're not using your intuition to know which readings are for you. There's something really important about using your own intuition and your own, like, understanding what messages you're being guided to. It's a skill that I hope people are developing through me not pinning a particular star sign to the reading. So just in case you were wondering about that. So hi BB truck, nice to see you. I don't have coffee today, sorry Capricorn, so I'm letting you down with that one. So yeah, healing the inner child. And we have this beautiful, like, this imagery here as well, the child within, and we are nature. So you can see this woman with the child within and this woman with a woman in. So there is this like Russian doll element of like the child within and the mother within, right? It's like the inner mother within you when you were a child, and, you know, parenting yourself. Perhaps I've definitely had to parent myself a bit in my life when parents are absent. And it doesn't mean your parents are always absent. It can just be in a moment, right? In a moment where you need guidance, and that guidance isn't there to access. It's like you tap in, right? I don't know if you've ever had this, but I would always go inwards. So especially again when I was sleeping, I remember vividly at my grandma's house with this cat around me, like trying to stick its bum on my face while I was trying to sleep. And like being able to, it's like, it's something I've always done. It's something I've always been able to do, to go inwards and connect to this higher energy. It's like there always were companions when I was alone. Like I've always been aware of this. And interestingly enough, like the dandelion reading yesterday, it had this thing about, you know how to do this, the blueprints are within you, you've done this before, it comes naturally, like you did this when you were a child. And it's really coming up for me right now. It's like you know how to, whatever these energies are that exist almost in parallel to us, where these messengers come from, you know, our higher selves, our intuition, God, whatever you want to call it, angels, ghosts. It's like they are there. You've always been able to connect with them. You've always been able to hear them. Like the answer is within you, in your quiet moments. So yeah, Russian doll. I've been watching Russian doll actually. There's something about, now here it gets a little bit icky because I think it's touching on things that happened in history that I'm very uncomfortable with. But like you know, DNA and genetics and things like this. There's something with this Russian doll business, right? The doll within the doll. It's funny, I was very much raised to be a baby doll, right? I was very much raised to be, and I have got like big eyes and a small mouth. It is like very, like, I was raised to be a girl. I was raised to be a China doll, right? That was the conditioning of my environment. And I think there's experiencing something where I'm reclaiming it, where it's like, because I went through a phase where it's like I denied it, right? I didn't want to be beautiful. I didn't wear makeup and I didn't do my hair, and I wore like boyish clothes, and I was like, no, I'm an academic. And I went back to university and got my degree. And it was like, looks aren't important. But then I've reclaimed it and I've gone back into like Barbie mode of, I do want to feel beautiful. I do want to feel beautiful for myself, not for anyone else, you know? And the power of that, right? Exercising it. Because I think as well, like being a very Barbie doll looking person and also being very aware of this with the things that, like, it's like this weird parallel of my granny telling me, you know, you should look pretty, eat your crust so your hair can curl, but don't look in the mirror too much because then you'll grow horns like the devil. It was like a very mixed message. And I had almost like shame or a hyper awareness around how I looked, especially as well because I developed early. I've got big boobs. You know, I was at 13 in high school with big boobs. It's you are aware of that kind of attention, and so denying it and then reclaiming it is an interesting back and forth for me of being like, oh, hang on, this is actually power. Oh, hang on, it's actually a power to be able to make the best of myself and make people nervous or, you know, make people look at me. It is actually a power, not one that I'm interested in abusing or anything, but noticing the effect of how I'm treated differently depending on how I look. And sometimes it's negative, right? Sometimes it's people don't like you because you look like a Barbie doll. Sometimes people think you're stupid, which again is almost like, well, underestimate me then. Think I'm stupid, you know, think I'm vulnerable and weak because, you know, I might shock you if you take advantage of me, perhaps. So this crafting, the iridescent moon and beauty, this is very much like Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, there is a danger in that, right? But it's almost like the feminine of kind of Lilith energy, I want to say. The Lilith energy of these are the tools you've been given me. These are the tools you've given me. And, you know, it's like you've armed me with this. This is how you've crafted me and this is what you've armed me with. So don't be scared, you know, don't be shocked if I use it. There's something Lilithy around that, I think. My Lilith is Capricorn. Mine is like, I do not understand how to make money. I don't deserve money. I don't understand money. It's not my thing, right? But yeah, in Crescent Moon, there's something about this always talks to me about Pygmalion. So the story of Pygmalion is like My Fair Lady, right? He's a sculptor and in ancient Greece, and he's trying to create the most perfect sculpture, the most perfect statue, and eventually he does this. He creates this statue of a woman that is so perfect and so exquisite. The word Iburnus always sticks in my mind from Ovid, and it's she's made of ivory and she's like flawless, and he just falls in love with her. And he's like, he doesn't like the other women of his town because he sees them as like being you know, basic and like very liberal. Like he's heard stories of prostitutes, so he's like, oh, women are prostitutes, like they don't, you know, like no shame, right? To sex workers, no shame here. You know, you do what you want to do, and it's not for anyone else to judge what's right and what's wrong. What's right for you is right for you. And if it doesn't feel right for you, don't do it, right? So, but in this story of Pygmalion, he has a lot of judgment on the women of his town, like, and the way, you know, what he perceives their morals to be. So he creates this perfect woman, and she's untouched, right? She's virginal, and he prays to the goddess Aphrodite, which ironically she's the goddess of sexual desire and lust and femininity, and you know, she's very much the patron of these sex workers that he despises so much. And so at her festival, it's this brilliant irony. I love Ovid and how he plays up on all this, and he prays to Venus to make this statue come to life. And Venus is like, yeah, she's pretty. I think she deserves to be, you know, I like pretty girls. I think she does deserve life after all. And so as he gets this Ovid, like the poet Ovid it's just so funny to me. It's my favorite poet. So Ovid tells of how Pygmalion gets this, like this hard ivory statue kind of on his sofa, and he's like, ooh, hey, you know, like, hey, baby, like trying to like brush up to her and stuff. But she's hard, right? She's hard and she's cold. The hardness and coldness that comes with like unattainable, virginal, inachievable female perfection, right? It's not real. So Ovid really like makes a, you know, he laughs at Pygmalion about how he's trying to romance this statue, but ultimately under his hand, the statue comes to life. You know, she softens under his hand, and he, you know, he talks about his you know, hand squeezing into her flesh, and you know, she does become alive, and she bats her eyelids open like Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, and she's like, oh, you're the first man I've ever seen. what's in Prospero, Miranda in Prospero, like oh, I can't remember what she says. It's like the first man she's ever seen she falls in love with. she's like, oh my goodness, I love you. I'm so pure. But there's something like that coming through here with beauty and this Pygmalion energy of like, and this Russian doll energy of like, I don't know, like having many lives on earth, or generations of, I don't, it sounds gross, right? But breeding to get to a certain level of perfection, like DNA or ancestral perfection, which has a lot of extremely dodgy negative connotations that I am absolutely going to say, I am not shying away from the fact that those horrible connotations are in this reading. Don't know why they're here, but they are. Don't agree with them, right? But it's like, oh, look at this as well, though. It's like, but it's more. It's like there's something more to it, because you've got the Queen of Scrolls and Archangel Gabriel. It's like this messenger energy. Like you are like destined to be this messenger of healing or something like that. And it's like through, look at this power as well. Cindy had this thing about release your power, right? And this dragon companion energy, which I do see through meditation, this inner dragon, perhaps it is like the Lilith, right? The inner Lilith, but then doing it with like grace and doing it with generosity and joy. I don't know, there's something really, really cool about it. And I want to say as well, especially, again, there's something that I don't want to shy away from that's coming through with this reading, is something about, because there is something about pregnancy here, right? The children waiting to be born. The children waiting to be born. The children that are waiting, you know, the souls that are waiting to come down and be given a human form. And like here, like the seeds being planted, right? Seeds, you know, like this is like the gestation in the womb kind of thing. So there is an element, especially with the, you know, what the King and Queen of Fire are going to get up to, right? Like there's a lot of sexual attraction there. Like this, there is an element of children being born to this reading, right? So it's like a generation of seers that are waiting to be born, a generation of light workers that are waiting to be born, but they need to be born to almost like the right, you know, like perhaps a little bit like Lily and James Potter. I just want to do it. I want to say what I'm trying to say without the horrible historical implication that some people are not enough, because in my opinion, and I really want to stress this, we are all light workers. We all have the capacity to meditate, to tap into divine inspiration. It is within all of us. We are all golden children, but perhaps it's like a specific generation of golden children who are waiting to be born to parents who are particularly activated, right? So like Lily and James Potter, they have Harry Potter. It's like the right magicians, the right spellcasters to have the perfect combination of yin and yang to create these golden children. There's like what's it called? Genetics stuff that is like gross in that, and I really want to acknowledge that and dismiss it. That's not what I'm saying, you know. So it's like it's just like a really strong, and of course like you had muggles and stuff, right, in Harry Potter. Like it didn't always work, but it's like, I don't know, that's how I'm gonna just read what's coming through in the cards, and that's what's coming through, right? But it's like, it's a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's not a destructive thing. It's not like these people want to run the world for their own gain or anything like that. It's like they are light workers, right? They are bringing in like abundance and miracles and like beautiful things, right? It's like all good stuff. I want to say it's all good stuff, you know. They are golden children. So, and again, I want to say this, like, absolutely take I want to say 100% take race out of the equation, take skin color out of the equation, take I had this thing before when I was walking home I went for a walk in the woods, There's no such thing as class was the message. There's no such thing as class. Only money, which I see as something that's false anyway. It's like part of the matrix. It's not real. Like a lot of it is just digital numbers, right? And pride, right? Like, or like vanity. Vanity, that was the word. There's only vanity and money, both of which are false. So there's no such thing as class. Obviously, like, you want to acknowledge that class systems are part of the matrix. They are in place to control people, but every single individual, I want to say, is like a golden child. Every single individual, no matter what your circumstances, you matter, and you do have this ability to connect to something that's above us, right? Something that's higher, something that's beyond like the matrix that we exist in. And that's not to say this reality is real or not real. If you experience it's a reality is kind of the message that's coming through, but words are hard. So with this in crescent moon as well, there's a message of find balance. Find the balance between your work, rest and playtime, and you will have more energy, harmony and productivity in your life. Take a power nap. So this is really just telling me about, although you may have, it's interesting, they've both got 2 candles as well, like burning the candle at both ends perhaps. There's a message of like, you are doing something important, you are doing something, you are perfecting something, right? She's got like an illuminated manuscript here as well. But it's like you have to have the balance with this. Something about creating the perfect woman, or like Venus energy that seems to be coming through there. I want to say it's you working on yourself, right? This isn't like a man who's trying to like have the perfect child, or like the prettiest child, or anything gross like that. It's more like however you identify in terms of like gender or orientation. It's like with this Russian doll thing, it's either you having a lot of lifetimes, right? Having a lot of bodies, having a lot of, your soul coming back down to earth, like generation after generation, and having experiences where your soul grows and evolves, right? I asked my daughter to go and get her copy of the Twits from Roald Dahl, because it talks about inner beauty in that, and how somebody could have buck teeth and like frizzy hair, but if they've got inner beauty that radiates out, right, you can sense it, it's real. Where you could have somebody who's like I don't know, had a lot of surgery, wearing a lot of makeup, doing a lot of Instagram filters, but they could be a horrible person. And it's like, like when you tune in, you can tell, right? You can tell what's underlying this kind of like mask or matrix energy. So where am I with this? So it's like you Russian dolling yourself, right? You either repeating lifetimes, or having lots of lifetimes where you perfect your soul, right? You really you cleanse your soul, you get rid of all the all the smog, all the toxic BS that comes to us as part of the matrix. You blast that light out, and you refine your own soul, your own inner self, right, through being your own inner child and your own inner parent. Until you really come out feeling, again, take gender out of it, but with this King and Queen of Fire energy of, I know what's right for me, I know what makes me passionate, I know what I want to do, I have a purpose, I have strength, I have confidence. They're giving me a song, it's like, nothing's gonna bring me down. Huh. I don't know what the song is, but that's what they're giving me. I have heard it. It is a song that's familiar to me, but I can't quite pull out. Is it ice cold? Nothing's gonna bring me down. I don't know, it might be ringing bells for some of you, but they have like this fire in the hands, and again, it's like the warmth and the generosity here of these people who have ascended into a confident, beautiful version of themselves. I'm hearing fiberglass, which is interesting. I wonder what fiberglass means. But yeah, it's like they are holding their heart in their hand, and they have the confidence to do this. There could be this some interesting competition here. And then we have this King of Air. Oh, what's this talking about here now? feels, that's quite analytical, but this kind of feels like either the King and Queen of Fire, who are very much on the same level, right? They are two sides of the same coin, right? Either they are in conflict and competition with a King of Air, or there's something here where it almost feels like on a passionate level, on a creative level, on a level of confidence and leadership, these people match. But there could be some conflict with it being the two fives of conflict, five of wands and five of swords. There could be some intellectual conflict between these two. There could be a difference of opinion. Although they match very, very well, there could be some competitiveness here. But I want to say it's healthy competitiveness, because it's provoking, right? It's provoking, which makes it inspiring. They are both confident. They're very equally matched. They're very confident in what they have to say. So it's the kind of competition that comes from, we're both competing for the same job. So therefore we bring out that ambitious, competitive nature in each other, the healthy kind, right? That motivates you and pushes you to better yourself and further yourself. And again, there's this thing about bettering yourself, right? The different versions of yourself, peeling back the layers of the onion of your soul, right? And like the conflict of ideas, which if you have opinions and these are never challenged or never questioned, you can have a bit of an ego with that is quite damaging to the self, right? It's like, if I have an opinion and nobody ever challenges that, and it's the wrong opinion, they're giving me like, is it Socrates with the statues getting pinned down? It's like, it's not real. I don't really have confidence in my opinion. You only really have confidence in your opinion when somebody challenges it, and you have to defend it, right? And when you have to answer the questions about why you have that opinion. And sometimes you can modify your opinion or change your opinion based on like the influence from people around you. So again, there's something about the healthy kind of competition that makes people step up and improve themselves. Like challenge, right? The challenge that comes from these two energies combined. Okay, right. Not quite sure what this is doing here. It could be talking about. I watched also while I was kind of out for my walk. I paused briefly, and there was a video by MN Tarot about, it was a Leo reading. And that kind of felt like it could come into this reading a little bit as well. So if you're interested in that, go and kind of watch that. But it's like the magic that happens at night. So the wisdom that comes to you in dreams, the wisdom that comes to you through your subconscious, perhaps. And something about howling at the same moon as well. Like there's other people like connected here. So almost finished with this reading. I will pull a couple of cards on camera to kind of get a bit of advice and clarification, but it kind of ends here with, you're looking for answers, right? You're searching for answers. The answers are within you, because like when you meditate, right? When you are at rest, perhaps again it's sleep time, that's when this knowledge comes to you, because the knowledge is within you. It's part of your DNA. It's part of your blueprint, right? You've already had these experiences. So when they play out again, you know how to deal with them, because it's like you've done this before. This story's played out before. So you know what to do. Like it may not be the exact same situation, but it could have enough parallels. Again, this parallel energy that, you see the red flags, like, the red flags because you've seen them before. You know where safety is because you've been safe there before. Like, if you do this thing in this situation, it's going to have this result. If I do something different, it will have a different result. It's like you know this. You've played this game before. So the codes of the seeds. So here's that seed wanting to be like waiting for the portal to open right through the meditation, so it can come down and be within you. We're going with this like Russian doll thing. So it's then it comes down and it's in you, right? The seed has been planted within you. You have the codes, you have the blueprint, you know what to do in this situation. You already have that, right? You already have it. It's in you. Take the next step. And then it's like this sudden growth, right? I've got my avocados here, like just kind of like show you how these guys are doing. So they were just like avocado, they need watering, right? They were just like little avocado seeds, but they're starting to sprout now. So it's like the the rapid growth, right, that can come when seeds are properly planted and fertilized and watered, which I haven't done because I'm not a good plant mum. Again, not Queen of Pentacles energy. I need help with that one. Codes of the seeds, the blueprint is within you. Take the next step. We are nature, becoming grounded, embodiment, living in connection. So back to this connectivity. I really like going for walks in the woodland, because to me it's like, you can meditate through sitting still and actually doing that meditation, or you can go for a walk and let your mind wander and kind of extend your energy and become part of part of the root system, part of the earth, part of the soil, part of the place. Again, like yesterday had spirit of place. It's like you can plant yourself in that place and take roots there, and germinate and blossom, and and then become this very, it's like the empowerment of the land, right? The empowerment of the solid foundations or the deep roots. It's blossoming, it's blooming, it's like a flower, right? It has layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. It blooms and blooms and blooms, and it's like every time you bloom brighter and you bloom fresher. And I'm just thinking about how smelly I am today. I had a lot of onion and garlic for tea last night, and it's when I went for a walk and started sweating, yes. Like, there's an aroma, guys. There's an aroma here. It's like she's smelling as well. She's like, I love the smell of garlic in the morning. So yeah, it's this unraveling of the self, this peeling of the onion, this blossoming of the lotus flower or the rose, right? It's like layer upon layer. You keep giving because there's so much within you to give because of the nourishment of the place. So really very cool reading. Long-winded, I'm sorry, and there was a lot of me in there. Overshared again about my own stink, but it is what it is. Let me just go to my notes and just have a quick look if there's anything that I've missed. Like protecting your own soul as well. Yeah, the inner child, the inner mother, like being the parent that you need when you're a child and being the child that you need when you're a parent, like the communication between the two versions of yourself. Like your past self, the golden children have a message for you. You already have the answers within, the blueprints are within you. You already know how to do this. You've done this before. Confidence. The song that was playing, right? The song that was already playing when I sat down and pulled cards was Kids Again by Sam Smith. We'll never be kids again. Never, never, never. But it's like you are, right? That's the message. It's like you always carry that inner child within you. You're like an adult and a child at the same time. Very much like I always say Capricorn and Pisces are very much these, like, the older they get, the younger they get. And again, like Aries as well, like, hi Cindy. Aries are like the grown-up children, right? So this kind of like grown-up child, like Peter Pan, Tinkerbell energy as well, that seems to be part of this reading. It's like the combination of both. You don't have to be a boring old stuffy adult. Let your inner kid come out. Come out to play. I heard that song by Billie Eilish as well, Come Out and Play. Milkshake by Khalees, which I was like, really? Sweet by Cigarettes After Sex, and Don't Delete the Kisses by Wolf Alice, which are gorgeous songs and very, very sexy and romantic. So go and have a listen to those. Getting that King and Queen of Fire energy. Use Somebody. Yeah, Blush by Wolf Alice. Are you happy now? You're allowed to be what you could. Punch drunk, dumbstruck, let me get this out. Right, the message of this, are you happy now, right? It's like, you are allowed to be the best version of yourself. You are allowed to not be perfect. Again, this energy of trying to create something that's perfect, which is a fallacy, right? You're allowed to do your best, okay? And your best is good enough. Are you happy now? You're allowed to be what you could. Punch drunk, dumbstruck, potluck, happy. It's like, go out and play. Let your inner child come out to play. Get drunk. Do silly things, wheel your friend around in a shopping trolley, like, do the silly things, like, and especially if you didn't have that childhood, or if it was missing in some sort of way, if you get the opportunity to have that again as an adult, like, allow it. If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad, right? There's another song. Curse the things that made me sad for so long. Don't curse things that made you sad. That's bad karma. Let it go, let it flow, hand it over to the universe, right? Let it go. Like, the things from the past that had that hold over you, I feel like there's a lot of healing work doing right now because of that parenting, the inner child energy. And it's like, oh, that was a nice feeling. Something came over me then. It was like this wave that came from my feet all the way up my body, like this energetic wave. It's like that healing is done. You are repairing the DNA. You are repairing the blueprints. You are changing the blueprints, right? You're redesigning how you perceive yourself, right? How you perceive your physical form, how you perceive your beauty. I get messages as I kind of walk around, people walk past me and I get messages about the people and I don't tell them because it's weird, right? But a woman walked past me and she had a very sweet little face. She was an older woman. And the message I got for her was, it felt like from a husband. It was like, you are still beautiful. And I just thought, I was really touched by it. It's like, I don't know, you are still beautiful. All right, let's keep going. And a man walked past me and I heard, you know, you are good enough. Like, he needs to know that he's good enough. He's trying his best, kind of thing. And again, it's like I want to tell people, but at the same time, I can't. Darkness and gratitude. But like sending them, right? Sending them. It's like I imagine I'm such a fucking weirdo, right? I imagine as I'm walking past people, especially if they don't look 100% happy, you know, I like bless them. Like bless them like I'm picking Elsa of the woods. Like I imagine like a little, almost like a kiss of divine light, like a little golden energy around the heart center, and then these kind of like almost like fairy sprinkles, right? It's like, you know, I'm asking for you to be blessed today. I'm asking for you to be healed. I'm asking for your ancestors to be around you and to support you and keep you safe and give you almost like a little uptick in mood. It's like I do that. I'm weird. It's like I don't have to say it to them. I can send it to them energetically. So the long dark night of the soul, perhaps darkness and gratitude. So it feels like, thank you for getting me. Thank you again with this ancestral thing, right? The hand of the elder and the hand of the child. Like, thank you for getting me through the dark periods. Thank you for nourishing me. And like I was talking about my granny and some of the toxicity of how I was raised, and she was not a bad person, right? She was doing the best she could. She was doing the best she could. She was doing the things that she thought were the right things to do. And, you know, she had blind spots, which, you know, there's a lot of forgiveness there for that. You know, I understand her. She was trying to help, you know, and she'd be a little bit toxic about food. So she'd make very, very nourishing meals. Again, that kind of Queen of Pentacles energy. She'd make very like Christmas dinner and stuff. Like really, she was a good cook and she made very nourishing, healthy, hot meals, right? She provided me with that. But she'd also forced me to eat sprouts that made me vomit. And she'd also really pressurized me to eat food if I didn't want to eat food. I remember once pouring out half the plate behind the sofa onto the carpet. Because I was a child, right? I couldn't stand up for myself, and she was forcing me to eat the food. So it's like, I'm going to have to hide the food. I don't want to eat it. So pouring it out behind the carpet. And she blamed the dog. She was like, the dog's been sick. So she thought I'd fed the food to the dog, but no, I just kind of poured it out. Because a child doesn't have the toolbox to be able to deal with these kind of situations. So, and then eat your crust so your hair will curl and this kind of stuff. So and then I got borderline anorexia as a teenager. So like, because I wanted to control my food, right? Yeah, I don't know. She was doing the best she could. She was nurturing, she was providing, but some of the blind spots there about her own behavior. But I have gratitude. I have gratitude that I had a home, you know, a warm home full of smoke, because they smoked 60 cigarettes a day and I had asthma, but it was warm. You know, I had a bed to sleep in. I had you know, I had some good things. She was doing the best. And you know, the gratitude that I have for my granddad. I spoke about this in one of the readings about not having the sexual education, right? Not having any knowledge of that. And my granddad would buy magazines for my cousin who lived in South Africa, and one of them was for an older cousin, and it was like just 17, you know, these kind of magazines, Sugar, just 17, and they had pages so many brilliant articles about sex education and what different things meant and how your body worked, and about ownership and saying no. I needed to hear that, and these kind of things. So thankful for my granddad for providing inadvertently that education for me. So I don't know, there's something there with that as well, like darkness and gratitude, and the gratitude for yourself, and the gratitude for your spirit guardians, your ancestors, the angels that are looking out for you in your darkest moments, right? The people looking over your shoulder, the people, your higher self, and you can do that. I do think that your soul can travel, so I do think you can send yourself as an adult back to your childhood self and be there for yourself in those moments. The void, yeah, look at all this, like in the darkness, in the night, in your darkest moments. Like in my darkest moments is when I tap into that energy the most. It's there, right? It takes me a minute to find it, but it's there. It could be a self-soothing behavior, but I do think there's more to it. Again, like, look at the reading itself. Like, the golden children wait for the oracle, wait for the message. Cindy's reading went up. There's too many parallels. Look at Star Mother. How can you mother? No way. How can you mother yourself, right? And it's like, it is this kind of like Virgin Mary, Mother Mary energy, right, as well. Like, yesterday had Let It Be. Funnily enough, music is there. Mother Mary comes to me. Whatever your religious beliefs. In that song, he said it's not religious. Was it John Lennon, one of the Beatles? He said, when I wrote that, it wasn't religious. It was, his mum was called Mary, and she came to him in a dream 10 years after she'd passed away to give him a message. Yeah, it's come out again. Look, how can you mother yourself? Sisterhood of the Rose, beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher. Love yourself, right? Love your inner beauty. Let your inner beauty shine. Align your life. What is not aligned and needs to change, right? There you go. That's the reading. Shall I get you a song? What is not aligned? Let's ask, what is not aligned? What is not aligned and needs to go? How Can I Tell You I Love You is currently playing by Cat Stevens. What is not aligned? That's interesting. It's Cell Block Tango by Chicago, from the movie Chicago, right? Cell Block Tango, what is not aligned? Chicago. The interesting thing about that, again, it just feels like a personal message, is I was actually yesterday trying to book tickets to go and see Chicago in Manchester this month. And there weren't very many good tickets left, and it was quite expensive, and I was worried about getting there and timing and safety and all these kind of things. And I didn't book the tickets. I actually booked tickets for a different show. What needs to go and what is not aligned? Cell Block Tango from Chicago. That's interesting. What does that mean? I'm going to have to unpack that after the reading. What's the epiphany in this reading? It's Slow by Kylie Minogue, and I've got an advert, so I'm going to pause a second. Yeah, so the epiphany, the light bulb moment for this reading is Slow by Kylie Minogue, which is a very, very sexy song. You've got two very sexy songs there. Knew you'd be here tonight, so I put my best dress on. Boy, I was so right. Okay, that's the epiphany. And what's the advice? Can we get some I feel like I need some really good advice right now. Higher selves, inner child, best advice you can possibly give us. What is it? Feels Right by Big Pig. I don't know this one very well. Outside my gaze, trying to find a little spare time. Unwind with me a minute. I've got red wine, no lie. And since there are two of us, let's put the tunes on up loud. I want to see what you make me do and how. Right? I know that you think it may be too soon. Come round and show me what you've got. I heard you want to be in the driver's seat, so keep up. And do you promise me that you'll honour me? Don't give it up, because it feels right. And if I follow you, I know that I should hesitate, but it feels right. And just the thought of you gives me the taste I know I'll crave. This is a sexy song. Okay, that's your advice. I think your advice is get jiggy with it. But get jiggy with it on your own terms, right? Get jiggy with it because it feels right, because you want it, not because someone else wants it, right? Like, take ownership of your sexuality. I think is the message here. And what a sexy reading. Love to see it. It's like, it's okay to be a sexy woman, right? It's okay to be a sexy man, a sexy woman, a sexy non-binary person. It's okay to feel beautiful. It's okay to let people's eyes wander over your body. And it's okay to let the door, open the door to the person that you want, right? That's okay. It's okay to be passionate. Especially, I think, if, like me, you've been in situations where you didn't have the tools, the power, the voice, the confidence, the authority to make those decisions for yourself in the past. Like, it's okay to heal from that and re-embrace, like, the liberation that comes with sexual healing. So that's the reading, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. I certainly did. I'm going to leave it there. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye, friends. And bye, Cindy, if you watch this far. Amazing. Bye.